Hi, my name's Nick Mann. I'm the founder of Habitat Aid, a social enterprise down in Somerset, and I'd like to welcome you to Hookgate Cottage, which is where we moved with our family about a year ago. We've always wanted to do a new build, and Hookgate's given us the opportunity to do that. As you can see behind me, there's a small cottage on the site at the moment, but we're going to be replacing that with a modern build. We hope to start work in May. We're in March now, so the work's gone out to tender and we're waiting with bated breath. It is very much a modern build rather than an eco build, we would tend to think. Yes, it does have a wildflower roof. Yes, it does have a rainwater collection system. Yes, it does have solar, and yes, we are going to be running all the heating and the cooking off wood. But we tend to think of it as a modern house rather than an eco home. And it's going to be fascinating to see how the project progresses. It's very exciting. Having lived in a big old house before, it's going to be a real thrill to be sitting there nice and snug without the oil tank in the back, and it'll be great. We're really looking forward to it. You're able to see the plans on the website, but essentially it's a very modern style build. We value engineered it very carefully because we're on a pretty tight budget. Using local architects Orm up in Street, they have a lot of experience in dealing with modern style builds. It looks quite boxy in elevation because you can't see it in the context of the landscape. Essentially, there are a series of boxes because we're on a slight slope, as you can see behind me. The ground floor becomes the basement, and then the first floor becomes the ground floor, if you see what I mean. So the main living area is the first floor at the front of the house. It consists of quite open plan areas. We spent some time living in Japan, so there is a slight element of that in terms of sliding doors and open plan. The house is going to be heated by wood fired appliances. We have a wood burning stove as well, an Essie, which is also going to have a large back boiler on, and a couple of stoves also with back boilers too. Insulation is really the key to it though, so we're using a pretty sort of thermally massive structure on the north edge of the build. Lots of very cleverly designed glazing as well. A lot of people are surprised that we're using wood as our heat source, but we're surrounded by woods here. We're just outside the Stourhead estate, so it's readily available. And we're using very efficient appliances. I had to persuade my wife at some length to look at a solid fuel stove, but wood burning Essie we're using now is a very efficient piece of kit, and with the back boiler as well, it makes very powerful commercial logic. We'll be using a backup Cala gas unit as well for the summer when we don't want to get it fired up. We've had the green roof designed by Green Roof Consulting, with whom I do other work too, and they've done a fine job specifying locally appropriate native wildflowers. Green roofs have come on a long way recently, and you're able now to have a wildflower roof which we won't have to irrigate, which is going to be incredibly exciting. It's going to create its own little microhabitat as well, which is going to be particularly good for invertebrates. I hope we're going to have mining bees and butterflies up there. It'll be great, and it'll be a lot more aesthetically attractive than the cedar roofs you might have seen. We've also, perhaps just as importantly, been thinking very carefully about the landscape. I run a business called Habitat Aid, which is all about native planting and putting endangered native habitats back into the landscape. And a key part of that message for people is to persuade them that the aesthetic of things like wildflower meadows and orchards, wetlands, ponds, using native planting is fantastic. It looks beautiful, very, very attractive. And the design that we have for the plot here really reflects that. We've been working with local landscape architect Phil Brown, who's a great guy. He's one of the consultants we use for the business. And with Phil, we've come up with a mixed orchard plan for the agricultural curtilage area of the site, which is about an acre. We've got some of our rarest fruit trees in there. We're going to have mazzards from North Devon, very rare variety of cherry. We're going to have Perry pears, which originally from the Welsh borders in Gloucester, but do very well down in Somerset. Cider apples, of course, as you might expect. We've got medlars, we've got quince, we've got plums, we've got damsons, we've got pears. It's going to be fantastic, I can't wait. We're also going to have a lot of water on site, both formal in the formal garden area, which I hope we'll be able to include a swimming pond in as well, if the budget will afford to it. But we're certainly going to have more informal wetland areas in the agricultural curtilage area as well, planning permitting. We're just about to put in for a large pond area there as well. We have a lot of amphibians, reptiles in the area, so we're looking forward to being invaded by frogs and toads. I can't wait, it's going to be brilliant. We feel very strongly the most important person in the garden is the gardener. It's man. It's about people, obviously, and the principal object of the design is to give people pleasure. It also obviously has to have functionality. But additionally to that, and part of that experience really, we feel very strongly that the garden should be a healthy working ecosystem as well. So it's not just about converting people to the aesthetic of using a planting scheme which features native plants, but also switching them onto the pleasure they can get from watching invertebrates follow the plants in and then seeing larger animals coming in as well. So to create your own ecosystem, which is really a key idea behind what we do and what we believe. And we're going to be illustrating that in spades with the design on this site. At Habitat Aid, we sell all the trees, plants and seeds we're using on the landscape project here, but more than that we also offer the kind of advice that I've been taking advantage of here as well. So if you're interested in replicating any of the features that we're going to be talking about on the project here, then please get in touch, we'd be delighted to help.